everyone, my name is Ola Sulaiman and it's this show again, Ask the Tax Girl. Thank you for watching. Now on today's show, I'm sure you're going to learn one or two things. But before I go on, let me introduce myself. If we haven't met, my name is Ola Sulaiman. I'm a chartered accountant, also a tax specialist. I advise small businesses and individuals with their tax issues, ensuring that they do the right thing at the right time, they claim the right relief, and they don't have to worry about all their tax issues in their business. So this show is for 10 minutes. In this show, I would answer some of the questions that have been asked in the last 1 week or 1 month. So because of time, I'll just go into the questions. So the first one is, I've just received my tax coding letter from HMRC. It's also referred to as P800. What do I do with it? Now, always about February, it's automated letter that we'll receive from HMRC. Every UK taxpayer. Talk about when you're employed. This letter will explain your tax code for the new tax year that will start on the 6th of April for this year, 2020. Now, this letter will explain the information that HMRC has about you at the moment, and then they will calculate your tax code. And then this letter is given to you just before the tax year so that you can have a look and see if there's any change in your circumstances, if the coding is right or wrong. Remember, I said it's an automated letter, so it might actually be wrong. So now, some of the things that will be included in your tax code will be probably in the last tax year you've received dividend. So then automatically they will adjust your tax code to show for the dividend that you've received last year based on the dividend you've received last year. If you've paid for charity, if you've paid to charity last year and you've declared that in the self-assessment, they would adjust that in your tax code as well. If there's a professional subscription that you pay at the moment or not, they will adjust your tax code to reflect this. Other things, if you're owing, at times they think that you're owing them in the last year or in this year, they would explain everything. Now, usually I say to people like, if you submit self-assessment, if you're on the self-assessment system, you should actually worry about it, but I don't know. Depends on when you plan to submit your return, because as soon as you submit your self-assessment return, a new P800 will be sent to you. But the first thing you need to do is to actually have a look at this letter. Don't just ignore it. Don't just put the letter under the piles of letter and be like, I can't be bothered. Because what happens is automatically this will be sent to your employer, and this will be the tax coding that will be used for you in the new tax year. So you need to check and see, okay, I've received dividend 2 years ago, last year, I'm not going to receive in 1920. So, or in 2021, you need to call HMRC. Or I've received rental income in the last 2 years. I've sold the properties now, I don't receive rental income again. So you need to literally have a look and advise them if it's right or wrong, and then adjust it. Because if you don't do this, what would happen is you'll be paying too much tax in the new tax year. Or better still, get advice if you think you need one. So that will take me to the next question. This person have asked me that their accountant has advised them that they'll be they can't deduct mortgage expenses again from their expenses. They can't deduct mortgage expenses as expense when they're doing the accounts. Now, I would say probably the accountant has been doing this and this person did not notice. This has actually been a change that's been made since 2000 the changes was made in 2016-17, but it started from 17-18. Now, basically, the changes is targeted for taxpayers that pay at higher rates rather than basic taxpayers. So this is what the change is about. So for every finance charges that you've paid for, such as your mortgage expenses or a loan that you've taken to refurbish a rental property, you're not allowed to deduct them as an expense again. Rather, what would happen is when the account is done, or when you're trying to put the information in your self-assessment, it's going to be used as a tax relief, tax reducer at 20%. Okay, example. Let's say your mortgage expenses for the whole year is £6,000. In the olden days, what you'd have to do is to deduct the £6,000 from probably the 10,000 rent you've received, and then the tax you pay is going to be based on £4,000, which is your net rental income. Now, if you are a basic taxpayer, you'd pay tax on it at 20%. But if you are a higher rate, as you're paying tax at 40% or 45%, you pay tax based on 45% or 40%. So what they've done now is you're not allowed to deduct that 6,000 from your account. So you literally need to declare this £10,000 rental income on your self-assessment return. However, you're allowed to then deduct 20% of that £6,000 later on. The main difference is if you're paying tax at 40%, you'll be allowed to get relief at 40%, but rather at 20%. So that change in rule is basically to target people that pay tax at 40% or 45%. There's a lot of things out there that say that, oh, what you can do is just to move your your property to the limited company. As much as this sounds like a very, very good idea, because at the moment the limited companies are not deducting expenses, there's no restriction for mortgage deduction. However, there's more to it. You literally have to get a new mortgage for that house. You need to pay stamp duties, you need to consider capital gain tax. So if you have that kind of cash flow, why not? I'll go to my next question because time is going. So the next question says, I've recently moved jobs, and I think that my tax code that they're using for me is not correct. Now, this still relates to my first question, but it's actually a different question entirely. Now, when we move our jobs, if you don't give your employer your P45 that you've received in your last employment, what your new employer is going to do is to use a P46 for you. And then what they might then do is to place you on the BR. A BR means that you're not enjoying tax allowance. Now, if you've actually given them a P45, or if they've applied a P45, it will literally be like a transition rather than something you need to worry about. So what HMRC do is they start taxing you without applying your tax code. Now, if you've noticed this, what you need to do is to call HMRC to inform them that this is your main job at the moment, so that your tax code can be adjusted. When they then adjust your tax code, then they will send this to your employer, and then your employer will then adjust it. The good news is you might be due for some refund because you've been taxed more than normal in the last previous 2 months. Because the idea is, as soon as the tax year begins, all the employers will assume you're going to be in the same employment all through the year, and your tax code will be divided over 12. So if somebody has not been applying the tax code for you, that means you're due for some refund, basically. I'll go to the next question. I'm registered for VAT. Normally we register for VAT in UK compulsorily if our taxable supply is more than 85,000. Now, if you've registered for VAT, there are different VAT systems that you can go on. One of them is the flat rate. The way flat rate happens is you don't need to declare any receipt to HMRC. Basically, what they do is they would apply a percentage to your VAT that you've received and give you some of them back to cover your admin cost or whatever. Anyway, so that means like every expenses you pay for, you don't claim VAT back on them. So then what happens when you buy capital items? Like this guy now is asking me a question because he's bought a van. Will I still be able to claim VAT? Because the VAT now is massive. Now the rule is if you buy a capital item, that you're allowed to actually apply normal VAT rules on them. So for this guy now, he can actually put the amount in his return, even though the other ones, he can't claim the full amount of VAT on it. Now, I think I'll stop on that now. If you'd like to watch a video on flat rates, I think there's one on my YouTube channel. Hope this video has helped you one way or the other. If you have any question for me, kindly send it to my email, diaryofaTaxGirl@taxgirl.co.uk. I'll definitely reply you, or I'll explain it on my next show. Thank you very much. My name is Ola Sulaiman.